Ladies and gentlemen, please listen now. You went silent, and their confidence crumbled. They didn't expect that. They thought you'd shout. They thought you'd argue. They thought you'd try to prove yourself one last time. But you didn't. You shut your mouth. You pulled back your energy. You left them alone with their own noise. And that silence was heavier than any words you could have spoken. Silence is a weapon. It cuts deeper than insults. It burns longer than anger. Because silence forces them to face themselves. Silence gives them no excuses, no distractions, no way to spin the truth. When you went quiet, they lost their stage. They lost their power. They lost the audience they were performing for. And what was left? Nothing but the echo of their own weakness. Listen to me. Most people fear silence. They are addicted to noise. They argue, they gossip, they explain, they defend. But when you step back into silence, you take control of the game. You decide the terms. You decide the tempo. You decide when and if words ever return. And while they're crumbling, you're rising. Before we go deeper, pause for a second. If you're new here, hit subscribe right now. Like this video. Leave a comment and tell me you're locked in. If you've been here before, if you're part of this tribe already, thank you. Your loyalty fuels this fire. Together, we're not just listening, we're transforming. Now lean in. I'm going to tell you something most people will never understand. Silence is not weakness. Silence is dominance. Silence is the move of someone who doesn't need to explain, because their actions already speak. Silence is the posture of someone who knows truth always wins on its own timeline. When you went silent, they panicked, because their control depended on your reactions. They needed you to argue back so they could twist your words. They needed you to defend yourself so they could play the victim. They needed you to shout so they could call you crazy. But you gave them nothing, and nothing is impossible to fight. Think of Rosa Parks. One act of silence on a bus in Montgomery. She didn't scream. She didn't argue. She didn't fight with words. She simply refused to move. Silence in action. And that silence shook a system. It crumbled the confidence of those who thought oppression would last forever. One quiet decision sent shockwaves through history. Silence is not absence. Silence is presence amplified. Silence is control. When you walked away without a word, they started to crumble. Because silence makes people see what they've done. Silence removes the shield of denial. Silence forces them to sit in the mess they created. Your silence is their mirror, and not everyone can stand their own reflection. Listen closely. Energy is currency. Every reaction, every word, every explanation is a payment. And most people are broke because they keep paying attention to those who don't deserve it. But when you cut it off, when you close the vault, when you go silent, they starve, they run out of energy, and you remain full. That's why your silence broke them. Not because you disappeared, but because you stopped feeding their ego. You stopped fueling their confidence, and they couldn't handle the drought. Now, here's where psychology comes in. The brain hates gaps. It craves closure. It wants certainty. When you go silent, you create a gap their mind can't close. So they start filling it with fear, with doubt, with regret. Your silence makes their imagination run wild. And in that storm of uncertainty, their confidence collapses. You didn't need revenge. Silence became revenge. You didn't need explanation. Silence became explanation. You didn't need to prove a single thing. Silence proved everything. So stop underestimating your silence. Stop thinking you need to always have the last word. Stop thinking you need to correct every lie. Sometimes silence screams louder than truth. Hear me, silence is not just walking away. Silence is walking away with purpose. Silence is saying nothing while doing everything. Silence is giving them no reaction while you build a life they can't touch. This is why they crumble, not because of your words, not because of your anger, but because your silence leaves them powerless while your growth makes them invisible. Let me remind you of something. The loudest one in the room is often the weakest. The one who needs to prove, to argue, to shout, is the one who knows they have no ground. But the one who can stand in silence, the one who can walk away without a single word, that is the one who already won. You went silent, and their confidence crumbled. And right now, as you listen, I want you to feel this truth sinking into you. Every time you hold your silence, you hold your power. Every time you resist the urge to explain, you strengthen your foundation. Every time you let silence do the work, you win without lifting a finger. So don't break that silence for people who don't deserve it. Don't waste your words on ears that are deaf to truth. Don't waste your energy feeding the same fire you walked away from, because silence has already done the work, and it's still working.